Okay, so let's talk alpha and beta. So basically you have two nervous systems, right? You know this? You have somatic and you have autonomic is what that says. And your autonomic breaks down into two parts. And what are they? Sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay? And then sympathetic takes care of things that typically are about staying and fighting the danger or running away from it. So that's the fight or flight side of things. And then parasympathetic kind of takes care of calming stuff down and general housekeeping maintenance sort of things that go on. So if you think of it as the little old lady driving down the road in her little old car, and she's got one foot on the brake, and she's got one foot on the gas. You know, have you followed this lady through traffic? And she's kind of jumping and jerking a little bit, but basically she's got the ability to put her foot on the gas or put her foot on the brake. The parasympathetic is kind of the brake, and the sympathetic is the gas. So how does she make her car go faster? Well, there's two ways. She can let up off the brake, so we can block that parasympathetic side, or we can push on the gas. We can stimulate that sympathetic side. And so the reason we want you to understand this is so you have some idea what's going on with medications that you're giving and what this whole alpha and beta thing is about, and sympathetic agonist and antagonist and those sorts of phrases. So an agonist, if we said that epinephrine was a sympathetic agonist, what does that mean? No, it causes it. It causes it. Epinephrine stimulates sympathetic receptors, and so epinephrine is an adrenergic or a sympathetic agonist. Then parasympathetic can have an agonist or an antagonist. And so what would be a parasympathetic antagonist? What would that do for you?
That one blocks something or stops something.
Antagonist blocks something. So if I'm blocking parasympathetic, what am I doing to the gas or to the brake? You with me? I'm taking the brake off. A parasympathetic agonist is going to put the brakes on. Parasympathetic antagonist is going to pull the brakes off. A common drug, medication that does that for you, is atropine. A common sympathetic agonist is epinephrine. Okay, so just kind of general overview stuff. So then let's talk alpha and beta. And I think Chuck had a chance to briefly hit on this in the session with him, but I wanted to do a big general thing for you also. There's alpha 1 and there's alpha 2. We only care about really alpha 1. Alpha 2 is not for our discussion right now. So really think of alpha 1 and think of vasoconstriction. When alpha 1 receptors on blood vessels, and that's pretty much where they live, when alpha 1 receptors on blood vessels are stimulated, it causes the vessel to constrict. Why would that be good, and why would that be bad? Why would that be good?
Well, it allows the blood to get somewhere else.
Yeah, so we can get some blood pressure support from vasoconstricting. Okay? Why could that be bad? You're constricting the blood flow. So if it vasoconstricts a coronary artery or a cerebral artery, then you shut down some blood flow to the heart or the brain. So it's a two-way street. But if you want alpha 1, if you want vasoconstriction, you want to call alpha 1, yes.
So if it's already somewhat constricted and you constrict it more, then you're possibly shutting it.
Possibly, possibly.
Okay.
Now, beta breaks into two parts. There's beta 1 and there's beta 2. And some people like to remember that beta 1 stimulates your heart and beta 2 stimulates your lungs. And the way they remember that is you have one heart and two lungs. So beta 1, one heart, beta 2, two lungs. I don't know if that helps or not. So basically, beta 1 receptors, when they're stimulated, they cause an increase in heart rate and they cause an increase in contractility or stroke volume. And those phrases are called a positive chronotrope and positive inotrope. So if I want to increase my cardiac output, and what's cardiac output? What's the definition of cardiac output? So CO in this means cardiac output, not carbon monoxide. So CO, stroke volume, the amount I squeeze with each beat, times the number of times it beats. If I want to bump my cardiac output, then I need a positive chronotrope to increase the heart rate, or a positive inotrope to increase the stroke volume, or both. So I need to call beta 1 if I need better cardiac output. On the other hand, if I need bronchial dilation, if I need those bronchioles to dilate, then I need to call for beta 2. Now some drugs are just going to be pure beta, and they're going to stimulate beta 1s and beta 2s, it doesn't matter. Others are going to be beta 1 specific or beta 2 specific. There's one drug I can think of that is beta 1 specific and really just is a positive inotrope. So what would that do for you? What did I just say? Beta 1 specific positive inotrope is not a positive chronotrope. What's it do?
Increase the stroke volume.
Pump your stroke volume up. It's called dobutamine. It's excellent for what condition would you think? If you wanted to just increase stroke volume without increasing heart rate,
Blood pressure.
it would pump your blood pressure, and it's great for heart failure. So it goes to that left ventricle and it increases its stroke volume, the very problem we're having. Okay? So this is where it gets tied in. You learn this sort of background, and then we start talking about specific medications and what they do, and that's what they do. Okay? So if we need to fight off an enemy or run away from an enemy, either way, we're under threat. We need our beta stimulation to get our heart beating faster, beating stronger, bronchodilate where we can get more oxygen in, right? Vasoconstrict so we can pump that pressure up a little bit. Can you think of a substance, a medication? It's actually a hormone that's naturally occurring in your body, but we can also give it, comes in gray boxes and 1 milligram preloads of 10 cc's. That is alpha and beta. Can you think of one? Oh, come on. So epinephrine, naturally occurring hormone, medication that we give, standard treatment in cardiac arrest. That's the medication you give for all three of the major flavors of cardiac arrest. There's your shockable cardiac arrests and your non-shockable cardiac arrests. In the non-shockables, you can divide that into asystole, no rhythm, and PEA, any other rhythm. So whether it's shockable, asystole, or PEA, epi's your first drug. Epi, epi, epi. So epi's the first drug that we're going to learn and know inside and out. Epi is a strong alpha. It is also beta 1. It is also beta 2. And just to be complete, there are some beta 3 things out there in the world, but again, that's outside our discussion. Alpha 2s and beta 3s we don't care about. We care about alpha 1, beta 1, and beta 2, and epi does all three. And it is a strong alpha. Very strong alpha. That's why we give it in cardiac arrest. Epi makes CPR better. Epi causes vasoconstriction, and it makes that manual compression that you're doing that would ordinarily generate a pressure like 20 or 30 instead of the normal 120 or 130. But epi takes that and bumps it up some. Not up to 120 or 130. You need a mechanical CPR device for that. But it bumps up that pressure some, so we have a chance of our CPR being reasonably effective, at least at perfusing heart and maybe perfusing brain. So epi is a strong alpha, and that is why we use it, and it's why we love it. So it is a very strong alpha. It also does beta 1 and beta 2. There are some folks out there who are a little misinformed that think that the reason that we give epi in cardiac arrest is that we're trying to restart the heart. Well, that's not true. We may get some increase in heart rate, we may get some increase, some bronchodilation out of those beta effects, but we're really giving it for the alpha side. Now, once you get them back, once they have a ROSC, a return of spontaneous circulation, ROSC, that's the goal, remember. Once we get ROSC, and you've got some epi in there, you will start to see that epi get circulated, and it will start kicking in. And then it is true that the little slow, wimpy heart rate they come back with will rapidly increase because of the epi effect. And next thing you know, you went from a guy with a rate on the screen of 0 or like 30, and he got a pulse back, and then suddenly you're going at 120, and you're sitting there looking at the monitor going, oh my God, what's going on? What do I do about this? And the answer is nothing. Celebrate, because it's going to wear off. And don't turn your back on them, because once the epi wears off, be right back in the same spot we're at. Okay? So epi's strong alpha, good beta, that's why we give it. Okay? So epi, the dose, always the same. 1 milligram, IV push or IO. There aren't any medications given in cardiac arrest that are not IV push. IV push meaning you put it in the IV and you push it. You essentially slam it. Okay? There's nothing we give in cardiac arrest while they're in cardiac arrest that we don't slam. And epi is certainly that way. You want to slam it and you want to circulate it. We give it every 3 to 5 minutes in cardiac arrest. It's basically the 3 to 5 minutes pop up when you have a pause in the CPR. Remember, you do CPR in bursts of 2 minutes, 5 cycles, right? Okay, when you get that pause, you time this stuff to go in every 3 to 5 minutes. That's because its onset of action is in a minute or two, meaning it starts working in, let's say, around a minute, and its peak is around 2 or 3 minutes, and its duration is no more than 5. So there's some facts for you. Can you see how flashcards would kind of lend themselves to this? Epi duration, 5 minutes. Epi peak, 3 minutes, okay? This is in cardiac arrest. This is kind of what you get when you're dealing with epi. Give it a milligram at a time. It comes in a 10 cc preload in the gray boxes, which you've all seen and have in your in your ALS packs. Give one every 3 to 5 minutes during your code. Why are we giving it? We want its alpha. We'll take its beta, that's cool, but we want its alpha. We want the vasoconstriction, we want the blood pressure support, which helps us with CPR. Epi makes CPR better. Okay?